So good afternoon, everyone. This webinar is the second in a series of 3 webinars about balanced assessment system. So we find it valuable to include the following graphic. And okay. So we have used this graphic to show the balanced assessment system model for the state of Delaware. If you need more information about the specific, we refer you to the previous webinar that deal with the balanced assessment system for ELA and math and for any assessment in the state of Delaware, any balanced assessment system in the state of Delaware. Just want to note that it's important to know that the formative and benchmark assessment are assessment for learning occurring in a classroom, and where the interims and the summative, including the state testing, are assessment of learning. So as a balanced assessment system has different types of assessment, it also has different type of reporting and reports. The purpose of this module is to provide participants with an understanding of the types of reports available for ELA and math and how to use and communicate the data. The reports available for each type of assessment will be discussed. So what's the goal of a report and why, and what do we do with the data intended to be in the reports? The report should be clear and highlight the information to be taken action on. So sometimes less is better than too much, so that it doesn't overcrowd the information that we're trying to convey. And we hope that these reports do this. The report for ELA and math are a date for quite a few years now, and for the smarter balance, we started in 2015. So there have been small changes, but the report itself have evolved in Airways, and we will go over the new feature in a moment. So each assessment is or should be carefully designed and require the following elements. And I'm bringing this because the last part is important with the reports. So for the smarter balance, ELA and math, we know that all items are aligned to the Delaware content standard for all K-12 students, and these are the adopted Common Core standard. The test design is comprised of the standard being assessed, obviously emphasis for the grade, the number of items for each strand of standard, and then for the smarter balance and the summative assessment, for the smarter interims and summative assessment, these are the claims and the target that guide the development of the items. We also, for an assessment, we have the performance level descriptors. Sometimes they're called the achievement level descriptors. They outline the content expectation at each of the levels student will demonstrate. For the interims, we have 3 achievement levels: below, at, near, and above, while for the summative, we have 4 achievement levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are determined by the scale score the student gets on the test. The cut score for ELA and math are on the same scale for the ICAs, the interim comprehensive assessment, are on the same scale as the summative. So we refer all of you to the cut score posted on the DOE website under the Office of Assessment for summative and ICA. Of course, each assessment needs to have a set of rubrics and answer keys for the interims, and these are available in both Tides and Airways. A separate one-pager was sent to all DTC to be shared with everybody in the district, in the school, teachers who are responsible or will help or should be scoring the open-ended item on the interims. We might be mentioning this later on. And finally, this is for any assessment, you must have a reporting system that is clear and to understand, and that can be shared with all, including educators, parents, leadership in the district, and legislators. Some version of reporting might be more appropriate for some audiences and not others. The report should highlight the trends, the group, grade level data per content and for parents, but they must be individualized to the student level and provide next step to support student content growth for future knowledge and success. This is a graphic of actually what an assessment, the design of an assessment, and why do we have assessment. So you can see that on one side, on the right side, you have the student outcome. Obviously, an assessment is to help support students and to make sure that they get the content they need and they are armed with the knowledge they need to move on to the next grade and the next courses, the more rigorous courses. There are obviously classroom assessment, formative assessment process, and the state assessment. But the student outcomes on these assessments will adjust the classroom or the district at the curriculum and material. They would adjust to adjust the district professional learning and to adjust the classroom instruction. So as you can see, everybody is involved. This is a system, and if one piece is missing, then it is not supporting the intent of education. So what are the different type of reports? Since this builds on a previous webinar that talked about formative assessment process, benchmark, interim, and summative assessment, we will look at the type of reports for these different assessments. So the first one is recall that the formative assessment is defined as a multi-step interactive process in which the student and teacher engage in instructional activities. They gather evidence of learning, and they use the feedback to adjust teaching and improve learning in real time. These are the ongoing and used daily to focus lesson plan and individual student needs. The formative assessment administered by teachers, formative assessment process is administered by teacher, but only for the explicit purpose of diagnosis, where students are in their learning and where gap in the knowledge and understanding exist. They're usually small scale, minute by minute, to provide immediate feedback. Example of formative assessment process would include teacher annotation, observation during the classroom, with teacher will make notes, and they're happening in a classroom. So if there were reports for the formative assessment, then there would be reports every day, and that's where we don't really have reports for the formative assessment. Some publisher will call formative assessment end of unit or little assessment. That is not what it was meant. Formative assessment is really formative assessment process, and it is not a formative assessment per se. We include the 4 pillars for formative assessment process is to clarify the intended learning. So the goals, what are the goals for the lesson? To elicit evidence to make sure that these students will reach the goal for this unit of instruction. Then you have to interpret the evidence you gather from the students and student work, and then you have to act on the evidence that you're getting from the students. And that evidence may be also involving updating or changing the instruction to make sure that all students have fair access and have good quality of instruction. So we're just reminded we're not, as you can see, there's two types of assessment that are prior to state assessment. There's the benchmark assessment. Usually these are the unit assessment, a chapter, semester, but they're for a short period or short content, where the interim assessment are more for monitoring the progress toward the end of the year goal and identify the students or the curricular area needed additional attention, and content may cover full year standard. We'll discuss the available reports for the smaller bounds interim, as the benchmark assessment are more at the district level, and there may be multiple different formats. So these assessment reports for the benchmark and interim are designed to serve instructional purposes that should provide results to enable educators to adapt curriculum and better meet student needs. So in order to get reports for the interim, the smaller balance interim for ELA and math, you all know by now, and hopefully not, hopefully yes. If not, you have to go to the DESA portal and through the IMS account, your IMS account, and you will be able to then go to the Airways reporting. There's two reporting. There is the online reporting system, more for the summative assessment, state summative assessment, and the Airways reporting is really for the interim assessment, which go all the way to the item level, and you can look at the student responses. So it is more for at the classroom and teacher level. The other report available in Ed Insight portal for educators that have an IMS account, public that want to see some data and make reports out of them can access publicly released data with the suppression rule, where the suppression rule apply on the open data portal available on a DOE website. So smaller balance interims reports available in Airways immediately after the completion and the scoring are completed. If one part is not scored, then the data does not flow into Airways. So often people will start in an IB or an ICA that needs some open-ended score and needs some hand scoring by teachers, but do not complete that part, and therefore then there is no data available. So Airways is a tool where that reports interim test result. So you can see the result, you can sort them for analysis, you can expand them to view standard targets and measures, and you can quickly compare the result at the state, district, and school level. Airways also allows you to access the longitudinal reports to show the trends over time for associated tests at the student level or at the group level. You can set up reports that make sense for your specific needs. We will go more into some sample later on to set with the filtering. And for this year, you can actually look at subgroups. So you can look at ER subgroup, or you can look at special ed students how they did, the performance, how they did on the interims. When you work with the interim test, you will obviously see the items, the rubric, and the scoring essential or the scoring material. So it is very concise and very put together. Airways also, in Airways, you can generate individual student reports, ISR, and student data files that are downloadable into Excel spreadsheet and then can be sorted and organized as it is needed. And finally, Airways allows you to print and export any data and in different format, in different reports, and we will be showing some sample. So these are the new features that you have available for the interns in Airways for ELA and math. The first 3 were available in previous years. So you can generate data file and SIR. You can look at the 5 best item, 5 worst item, and you can assign test reason. Although the assigning the test reason has not taken off, a lot of people are not using this. It is a very good tool to be able to retrieve information later on about a particular test session. The last 5 are new for the 2019-20 school year, where you can filter the target level even more than in the past, a breakdown by student subgroup, and you can actually compare the rosters to the state level, district, and school in one particular window. And there is some information about the summative this year, but it's only at the aggregate level, and so it does not go all the way down to the item level or student level as it does for the interns. Some screenshots will be included in this presentation just in case I had some glitches with the demo and as a reference for going later on your own to investigate to use Airways. So for those who are not familiar with Airways, let's look at what the platform has to offer for reporting data for different audiences and how to download the information in a practical and useful way for instructional purposes. So either you validate the result already observed through other school or district method, or you start a discussion about what could be the next step in supporting student need based on the results you are getting from the assessment. As you can see, the Airways reporting system features 3 different dashboard layouts for different users. The teacher dashboard displays 2 stacked table, one for all assessment that the teacher is given to the student, and beneath it has a table of all the teacher's students. So Airways was designed to really be a tool, a platform for teachers to be able to look at student results and responses. The next layout or the next level would be the school personnel and district users. They will see one table of all assessment as they don't have classroom of student. And then the state dashboard page allows users to see results at the district or state level, and specific tests can be selected. The state user will have access to the test data on the district and school in the state. So we at the DOE obviously have a state level and can look at it. Not that we look at it, but if there is inquiry from district, we're able to look at report and see if there are any issue or help any district that may have some issue with reporting and reports. So this is a screenshot of the different features from the main teacher dashboard. This is just a demo account, so no personal student data is shared. but you can see that it has a list of the complete assessment with the performance distribution. So this is the list. This is a list of the assessment, and this is the distribution. Obviously, it's all red because the student count is small due to the demo account. And then the teacher would be able to see the list of the student and what assessment they completed on a particular date. The importance of labeling the test reason when student might have taken more than once a particular assessment is important. And the purpose of the assessment will dictate the purpose of the report or the reports. Then you also have the filtering, the new filtering for rosters. Test reason can be done at the group district level, and then once you have you are looking at the data at the school level, the filtering will include claim, standard, and target option as. And I'll show you this on the next slide. So you can see here that I just took an example. This is at the score level. And then you can see that you can actually filter if you want to pick the claim, the concept, the claim, the target, and the assessment target. This requires everybody to be aware of the claims and the target, and these are available as a document. The same thing for ELA filtering. You can go at the claim level and at the target level. All right. So I will be attempting to go to the DOE website and to do a demo. So oh, I may have lost you.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry.
No, you're here. What do you see on my screen?
I see your slide deck. So I see the compare your results, and then
but I'm trying to, let's see if I can. I lost the other format. Okay. Well, I'll just have to do this way. I'm trying to go to the. Okay, let's see if I can log in. All right. That's what happened when you type too fast. All right. So it is in a little loop. It's looking for it.
It's always the way it is when you're trying to.
And that's why I was including some of the screenshot, because my experience was that it's always been sometimes it doesn't always work.
Right.
Let me see. All right, let me see. Okay. That looks very different.
Yeah.
It's not the same. All right. I'm almost tempted to close and then to reopen it. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, maybe.
Where did it go? Okay. Oh no, come on. Hang on. Hmm. It was going so well.
Well, can you
uh,
do that through the screenshots you have?
yeah, let me see. You mean with the PowerPoint?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I could take some notes and then I can go in and take a look.
What I probably will do, Darren, is I may have to record it, re-record it after
Okay.
that. But let's see. Okay, so let's assume that I'm in. Yeah, let's assume that we're in. And so once you're in it, so you're seeing it. Yeah, you don't get. Let's see if I can get this one. Let's make it pretty for. So you would get it, and you would get the student, the filtering. I mentioned the filtering. Um, So once you select an IB, this was an ICA. This is an example of one, but
Okay.
it's the same thing with the IB. You will be able to then, if you click on the little arrows next to the assessment, you'll be able to, in a glance at what the state, district, and school performance is. So if it's an ICA, it will have a scale score, but if it's an IEB, it will have the distribution of how many are at, near, below, at, near, and above.
Okay.
And then you will be able to, if you click on the little eye here, you'll be able to see what the description of the performance levels are.
Okay.
So it's very much like the summative one. It kind of mimics the same thing. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's assume that I went in and I was able to go all the way down to a teacher level, and then I was able to export this. I'm hoping I can do that. Then so in Airways, you're able to go. You select the interims. Then you can select the school. Well, I'm at the state level, so it's different. If you are, what role do you have, Darren?
So I am district-wide.
Okay, so you're district-wide. So you could see everything from district, school, teachers, and then you can go all the way down to your students.
Okay.
So once you do this, once you have all the way down, you picked a teacher, you wanted to look at the roster of students that took a particular IEB, then it will download, you will be able to, on the screen, to see all the student information about each of the items they just completed on that IEB.
Okay.
Then that information then will be able to be downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet. And you can actually, I expanded here. You would have to do it before you download it, but it can be done later on. Whatever is downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet, it's exactly what's available into the Airway platform. So it's very simple. So here, I looked at a school, and then I said, okay, because my demo account didn't have enough students. So
Okay.
it wasn't given, but I blocked out the private information. And so you could see that you will have your student and the ID listed, and then you will have the performance level right there in the spreadsheet. This is an IEB, by the way, as you could see, for grade 6 math number system. But the nice thing is you'll be able to actually look at the 5 items the student performed the best on, and the 5 items the student did the worst. So some teachers or some districts or some school like to just look at these because they can say, oh, they did the best on these. Okay, so then that informed them about, okay, so they all did very well about this, or maybe just a few students did well on this, and that helps kind of regroup a little bit how to provide support to the student that need it. And then the most important one is when the student all of them did the worst on these items. So that helps kind of for instructional purposes or even curriculum point of view to see, oh, we probably weak on this, and maybe we need to take a look. The idea of the reports is it helps validate what you do in a district, or it just, sometimes should be kind of a match, should kind of go together. They shouldn't be completely different. But, these are very short. They usually have one claim, no more than 2 to 3 targets. With the new focus IABs, it's going to be even more narrowed down to just one target and one claim. And when we say target, so a target could have a cluster of maybe maximum 5 standards, but still within number system. So it really narrows it down, and it can be given at any time of instruction is finished for that topic. Some people give it more than once, but it's really up to the discretion of the district or the school to do it. Unfortunately, as you can see on the screen, we have been asking AIR if we could do that because districts want to actually do an error analysis. So instead of knowing what the student did in terms of point, they missed this one, they got this one right. They really want to know how many picked the option A, how many picked the option B, C, D, and if it's if it's a short constructed response item, what was the most common error they picked? Or if they had to fill in a table, why did they all pick this particular answer in a table and not the other one? So we're hoping that Airways can be a little bit updated for the interim next year, and that would be providing you more information. At this point, the only thing you can do is you have this information at the student level. When you pick it all the way down to a student level and look at the responses of the student, you would have to manually or somehow copy this information in an Excel spreadsheet so you can see Darren picked A for number 1 and he picked C for number 2 and so on, and then do the same thing for the other student. It is time consuming and not the best time for everybody, so we'll be working on this with the vendor to make sure that we can get this to you, to all of you. So this is one type of a report that you can get from Airways. Then you also have another type of report is these called the ISR, Individual Student Report. These are available by selecting the features, and they can be exported into again Excel. It can do in PDF, or they can do in CSV or Excel format. This is an ISR detail. So if I go back to Airways, I may be good to show it. This is where you pick a little icon. So the data is downloadable, like I said, and you can reorganize it as to suit your needs. The student result can also be displayed with the key topic. So I don't know if you see it on the screen here, but this is a particular one for ELA. And you can see that they group the items 1, 4, 6, and 13 under reasoning and evidence. And then under the central ideas for that IAB, then they have grouped the items that would be coded to that central idea. And then it gives you the number of points that the student got, obviously this student didn't do too well. Right. And then you have language use, and then you have word meanings and key details. So this is very nice too, because it goes, if you compare to the previous one was just telling you the performance at the item level, but it did not go down to what this item is about, unless you really use AVA and you really look at the item itself in conjunction to this. But then this one, actually, ISR, give you a little bit more information at the student level. But again, it is not, you can export this again into an Excel spreadsheet at the student level, but it cannot be done as a group. So you would have to, in order to get to this report, are you familiar with this one?
No, I like this stuff.
Yeah. So this one is, you have to click the student result generator. Okay. When you go on the upper right corner of Airways, next to the print icon, you'll see like a little group of people, and that's the one that would be the student result generator.
Okay.
That would be useful. So obviously I will have to do another recording of this one. And then the same thing for math. This is an example of a math. Now, math may not be exactly the same as ELA, obviously, because of the content and the specific. But you could see that for math, they have, for that particular grade 7 math number system IEB, these were the priorities. So these were the priority topics that really nail into the number system. So these were the important standards for that grade and for that number system. So that's why it's called priority. And then inside, in this IEB, there was one item that was coded to a ratio and proportional relationship. So you can see. Mm-hmm. And there were 2 items that were coded into general number system. So the focus IEB should be all here. The new focus IEB that are being released this year should be just all priority topic. So it's going to be very very useful to all of you. So. So now we also can look at another type of reporting. This is on a little bit of a higher level. This is not at the, this can still be used for discussion in the school or district level, because you can look at the type of performance or student did on each of the IEB. This is an example of math, grade 5. And these are all the IEBs that were available for that grade, and these were all the one that the district and that school did. Okay. And so they can compare, and they can say, okay, the state for all the students they took this particular fraction, let's say fraction 3,275. This was the distribution for the entire state. But then you can compare and you can look at the school at the district level, but in particular this is the same, but at the school level for that fraction, out of the 139 students who took that IEB, a fraction IEB, you could see the distribution that 50% of these students, these are percent, 50% of the students were actually at near, and then you have about not quite equal, but a fair amount number above and below. So this gives you a glance. This is a starting point. It does not give you specific content or standard information, but at least it gives you a glance of, oh, okay, so if you look at geometry, there's something going on. A lot of students there's a high percentage of students who are below. So maybe we're weak into this area of geometry. So you can look at the geometry IEB using AVA, and you can say, oh, we are not really addressing these content or these topics in our curriculum. So then you could go and say, okay, what can we do? Are we really aligned to the standards, and what do we need to do? So it's another way of reports that give you, that probably would be the starting point. I will look at it, and then I will look into more at the student level after that within the geometry and see which one they're missing. So if they, like 32% of the student didn't do well on this one, well, let's look at the student. Why did they miss? Which item did they miss? And what was the content in that IEB that they missed? And then keep in mind that it may be for different reasons. It might be addressed in your district or in your school curriculum, but at the time of the assessment, maybe the student either were just not ready for it or they were just whatever, not caring for it. But it's a starting point on this one. So this is just an IAB frequency. That's another type of reporting. This is not available in Airways. Everything I have shown so far was in Airways. This one is in ORS. But remember that, I don't know if everybody remembers that, this year all the interim reports are only in Airways. The only thing that is available in ORS would be the summative information. So ORS is going to be all summative information, and Airways will be all the interims, and can go all the way down to the grain and to the item level. But ORS does not go to the item level for the summative for security reason, obviously. So this is in ORS, but this was I should have put this before. This was in last year. You can see this will not be for this year. Last year you were able to actually in ORS look at the report for each of the block, for each of the IABs. You could look actually at this for the targets and the topic, and you could see the distribution in number of points earned, and you could actually group it. So if you had 90% of students got a 1, you could see that that particular item number 1, we nailed it. That's it. We know how to do it, actually the first 2. But then you can go down and you could see, for example, this one, number 13, can say, oops, only 5% of the student got full credit on it. 95% all got zeros. So it's also another way to look at the information and say, hey, it's something they can narrow down and say we can focus on some of them, some of the topic, and I just include a couple of them here. Have you used this one? Have you used this one before? No? ORS?
I don't think I've used this one, no.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Airways is probably the best one because it goes all the way down to the grain size. It goes from the district, the school, the teachers, and the student level, and you can print a lot of reports. So Airways is very useful, but there was also some videos that we had released maybe the last 2 years, and they're still applicable for this year, although Airways has some new features or some updated features. These videos have not been modified and will not include some of the features. So you really want to make sure that your teachers or whoever is going to use Airways, especially for scoring and for getting data or reports, follow the training, the Airways training, because it would include all the new features for this year. But these videos are all available on the DOE website, on the desktop portal, I'm sorry, and you could see I just put the link here. Usually they are like no more than 4 minutes each. So they're very short, to the point, and they show you actually where to go, what to do. They're interactive. So I will let everybody look at this slide, but these are the location where they are. There's 2 of them on scoring, exactly how to score and to modify score, and there are 3 of them on reports. So you can look at longitudinal reports, you can export and print, and then you can set up report. They're very, once you not play with them, but once you explore it, it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use them. Additional videos are available for reporting, as you can see here. these are connected, the test resources that include the answer key for the IBs and a link to the digital library for the connection playlist or in Airways. And I hope I can show this as a reminder, because it links the reports or the student performance to, and the reporting to what are the resources or the next step to support students' need, or even to support the group of students for curriculum purposes or even instructional purposes. I'm just including this. These are the role TADA for the modules. So once you have all the reports and you have discussed the result with colleagues, these can be teachers or leadership staff or curriculum directors, depending on how the structure is done at the school. You can get resources to support the needs to make sure the student get what they're missing if it's not already diagnosed or addressed. So once an IEB has been completed, you'll be able to see the connection playlist for that IEB, which should be linked to your curriculum. It would offer resources aligned to the standard, and then additional resources can be located in a digital library. Remember, when you go into the digital library, this can be overwhelming at first, so you want to start small, researching resources that are linked directly to the student performance. We will have a separate webinar that would explore and use the resources to connect to the performance of the IB. And that would be actually the next topic, the next webinar with the link assessment, curriculum, and instruction.
Is that one next week?
No, that one, the one for ELA is on it's on January 6th. It was moved. It's January 6th, and then math is January 8th. And we will be doing it with the curriculum group as in conjunction together. So assessment and curriculum will be doing the webinar. So if there's a particular question that come up, I think we'd be better armed with answers. But that's not next week. They were changed. Did you get the flyers? But the change for ELA and math, they were changed.
I don't think I have the updated.
Okay.
I was actually looking at the old one. You said it was January 6th?
January 6th is the ELA from 3:30 to 4:30, and then January 8th will be math, because we'll address more content specific at that time. Okay.
All right. I just made a change on my calendar, so.
Yeah, you may want to also check the flyer that would change in the chief memo. Did you get the chief memo somehow?
You know what? I did. I don't know if I looked at it, because I must not have checked to see that it was an updated.
Yeah, we may have to somehow push it again. We send it to the DTC in different venues, even the cadre, but we might send it again and make sure that everybody gets it. It was changed just for ELA and math. All the others are the same.
Okay.
But I personally could not. This one was moved by 1 week, and the other one, I realized that we needed more help from the curriculum group too. So it was moved to January. So all I talked about was about interims and the use in Airways, the reports in Airways. Very, very, very good information. Again, you have to know why you're giving the assessment first and for what the purpose of the assessment. So then when you get the report, you know what to expect, or you get information that is valuable to take the next step on action in your score. So also we have summative assessment reports. The summative assessment reports are a little different, obviously. They're not at the grain size level. They do not go at the item level. The assessment reports, the summative reports are only available in ORS on the DESA portal, not in Airways. but did you give reports at the district, school, and teacher level? And then they also give some information about the claims, target, and student performance. They can be downloaded into an Excel format, so they can be sorted and filtered as well. And also they have individual student reports available. It looks different. They look more like what we send to the parents report, but they still have the visual of the performance level, but they also has a little snapshot of what the student missed. For the ELA, I do know for their full rights, they tell them what they missed, the big topic they missed. So, and then the number of points they got on each, I think. So the summative assessment are at the state level are usually used for accountability, but they are a great source of information for educators in understanding the student performance and to help guide instruction. So, for example, if teacher looks at a smart balance assessment, they can correlate their student performance score to how well they did for each claim and target and provide teacher with the knowledge. If a certain target was not met by a greater number of students, that may be an indication of an area to focus instruction on, or to look further to see if the model of the test question aligned to the teaching method implemented. So it's a different format. So here are examples of what you see in ORS, just including 3 slides. This is an example of an ELA claim reports, and you can see that Airways is going to have the state level, the state information, and so you can compare the distribution, obviously in a summative. But that's all you could do. You can look at the claim level, you can look at the scale score for each claim. And then this is where it's probably more informative for everybody as a report on a summative. But this is not at the individual level. So this is a sample of a target for ELA. Obviously, this is a starting point for discussion as a whole group, but the use of interim would be instructive and can help student performance on the summative if you were to take summative that some summative had been administered as the item followed the same format, rigor, and alignment to the standard. So I include at the bottom here, I include the legend of remind everybody what the performance mean in terms of plus, minus, and equal. The plus means that the performance is above the proficiency standards for the whole group. Okay. And then the negative is the performance is below the proficiency standard for the whole group. And then the equal sign means that it's near. It doesn't really have it's not deviating too much.
So if I wanted to pull last year's summative assessment data, can I, so I was looking for percentages of claim and target data, but I'm having trouble finding that. Would this give me that?
In ORS, yes.
Okay.
Anything that is summative. You're talking about summative now. Are you talking about intern?
Yes. No, summative.
Summative, yes. You can go into ORS and then you can, I wish I could bring it up.
I can check tomorrow. I'll check tomorrow.
Yeah, you can specify the year. See, this one is 1819, but Perfect. you can go in previous year and you can look at what, so you pick the grade or the group of students. If you want to look at a particular group of students, then you'd be better off maybe going into Airways. But then you would need to go, so if you look at grade 5 students this year, and let's say they were grade 4 last year,
right.
You could actually look at their information by using the longitudinal report in Airways,
Okay.
So you can look at grade 5 group of students, and then you can see if they had taken interims since third grade, then you would have some third grade data, fifth grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. This is the first year we're able to give you more than 1 year data. In the past, it was only that year, whatever that year was. And so you could look in the past for interims using Airways, using the longitudinal reports. But for the summative, you have to go in ORS and specify the year you want to look at, and you can go at the target level.
Okay. And that, so would that give me a school's percentage of students either below, at, near, or above at the target level?
Not at the target level. So, yeah, that's the problem is, let's see. Here, this tells you just the average. I mean, it's the average scale score, but it won't give you the number of students at each of the performance level in ORS.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go for the summative, obviously.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's.
So I've been able to find some of this data in Performance Plus.
You could do that.
Yeah. I have to do a little cleanup of the data that's coming through to make it match what I wanted to do, but I didn't know if this would be something that would be easier for me just to be able to go in and download the information like I already need it. That's okay. It'll be a couple more steps, but
you can look at it and then see. You can call me or contact me and see if there's another way of doing it. But it's kind of a little bit restrictive of the summative. I mean, we give you as much as we can without disclosing too much personal information.
Oh yeah.
It's your district anyway. You would only have access to your district. So, but you're not going to get the you may be able. I have to see about the distribution of the performance level at each of the level for the at, near, above, at the claim level you're talking about, or at the target level. No, you're only going to get
the target level. I can get the claim level data and percentage in Ed Insight reports, but that doesn't go down to the target.
Yes, right.
And I reached out to Adrian Peebles today to see if there was an easy way to do it, but he hasn't responded back yet. But I found a long way. I'm just hoping there's a shorter way to get the information. That's all.
Right. So it might be good because I had a couple of people asking me information about, like, they were asking about Airways features. And a couple of them actually should be enhancement to the Airways system. So we actually asked AIR if they could explore doing this for next year. So if you come across something that you think is not available, but will be a nice feature and everybody could benefit, then we could explore with them and push them to do it.
Okay.
If it is available, then it's we just need to make sure that we communicate well.
Okay.
Or that the information we have share it. But I do know that at the target level, you're going to get this as a group. So this was like, for example, for that particular school, they looked at grade 5 test, and this is what the school did.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Katja, I need to jump off right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm almost finished. I'm going to finish it. So it's just very quickly. The one that you might be interested in is this one, is that what's the next step with the data and report?
Okay.
If you're a teacher, you obviously want to you're going to be looking at student level, but you're going to make decision for student. The principal is going to make decision, grade level decision within the school for instructional purposes and professional learning. And the curriculum director obviously will be doing grade level decision across the district to make curriculum decision and professional learning. This will be actually the next topic. I'm just going to go. This will be what we will be discussing here. So you can see that I'm including in a webinar. These are the two dates you want to listen to it next time.
Right. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for joining it. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we went over this one, and this would be, like I said, the next topic that we will have. We also include a report for parents, and everybody should be familiar with these, as you either had students in the system, in the Delaware system, and so receive reports of this session, or you have been printing and helping parents get one. The left side is what the parents received as a performance level. The longitudinal data, if there's more than 1 year, you can see, so this is the performance level. This is where the longitudinal data is in terms of every time a student takes a summative in Delaware, you can see the progression. And then this is the information at the claim level. How did the student do at the claim level? On the right side, these are parents' guide. We attempted to give more information about what a student, so if this was grade 4, this is to prepare a 4th grader, entering 4th grader, just finished 3rd grade. So this would be what they learn in 3rd grade in ELA, and this is what they will be learning in grade 4, so the parents can see the progression of the content and what to expect, and maybe you can work with a student or with a child on what the next topic are. We also have suggestions about what to do at home for each of the claim with activities, and then there's some additional resources. This document here is the same for all student within a grade. This is individualized for the student, obviously, but this one is the same, and we may be able to post them. We have them posted on the DOE website for parents and educators to take a look at them, and they will likely not be mailed with this report, but we're debating on this. Same thing for math, the same information. Parents receive this in terms of the math performance. We try to make it simple. And then on the right side, you can see what the content students should have learned in 3rd grade and what they will learn in grade 4, and what the parents can do at home to support student learning. And we would like to promote the next webinar for each ELA and math, as well as other content area. January 6 and 8 webinar will cover the topic of connecting assessment and instruction, curriculum and instruction. We had to split this webinar. Originally it was 2, but now because it's very content specific, we will be splitting these 2. So make sure you register for the correct one. And this is a brief description of what the webinar of today, and what the purpose of the next one will be. So the focus of this module for next one would be what's next after the data has been collected. I alluded to it as a table, but we will be revisiting this in more detail. If you need more information about any of the assessment, I only covered ELA and math, but April will cover science, reporting, Dusty social study, Samir PSAT, SAT, and WIDA access the EL assessment. And then Michelle will cover the DESA alternative assessment for special population. We hope that you find this very valuable, and should you have any question, contact us. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.